Today I want to talk about what it actually means to empower students. What does it mean to have a student-centered curriculum, and how do we achieve it? And how do we allow student voice to come through? The way that I do this is through teaching a course called Activism. What words come to mind when you hear that word? And what brings you here? What do you want to know about teaching activism? Let's think about activism as pedagogy. How many of you teach values? Should schools be teaching activism? Do we teach students to answer or to question? Activism can create a space for addressing some of these questions through an academic and critical process. Let's define activism. In a general sense, it's intentional action to bring about social, political, economic, or environmental change. The point is to first define and communicate what your opinion is. What do you think about this definition? What would you critique about this definition? The Activism course is a service learning course focused on two questions. What are my values, and how do my values affect how I view and understand social justice? How do we actually accomplish this in the course? Well, we learn about homelessness and poverty with real experiences of service. We learn about the blueprint, and then students use the blueprint to create their manifest project, in this case, a podcast. We focus on homelessness because it's a prevalent issue, both locally and nationally, and it tends to be both visible and invisible. It's accessible poverty, meaning students can actually have a deep experience with the topic. The course includes 6 service visits in a 13-week course and a strong relationship to a nonprofit working on homelessness. Students also complete their required service hours for junior year. On the academic side, students learn about a blueprint or a plan for researching their topic, which is always chosen by the student. Then they use the blueprint to work on their manifest project. Student choice plus student voice equals power.
When imagining the United States military, what are some words that come to mind? Strength, tradition, security. For some men and women in the service, this image is distorted by distress caused by conflict. War is not all glory and honor. It takes an enormous amount of willpower to keep control during a situation that has quickly gotten disastrous. For example, what if you witnessed a car bombing? Could you still have the capacity to do your job as a medical technician and treat an 8-year-old with glass embedded in his face? Scenes like this can haunt people for the rest of their life, and to make matters worse, no one is able to tell if that person is suffering. Someone once told me that the military is the only place where you can't just say "I quit" when you can't handle the job. They're right. Deserting the U.S. military is punishable by law. So many soldiers get caught up in this image that the military is invulnerable, that feeling mentally disturbed is a sign of weakness. They can't quit, and they don't want the disgrace of filing for a mental health checkup. Some are even bullied by superiors, many of whom can't understand depression. That is probably why an estimated 22% of veterans returning from the war in Iraq experience symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. These signs may start with a lack of motivation and escalate to severe panic attacks. Post-traumatic stress is not only restricted to the battlefield and can come in many forms. A common non-combat cause of veteran PTSD is military sexual trauma, which affects both genders. It does not discriminate by gender or race. PTSD is not understood and has just recently gained sympathy. What these veterans need is support, not pity. To start, people need to trust that they understand their own mental state. Education on depression and how to treat PTSD should be mandatory training, not just for those who volunteer to learn it.